If the feminine is like, the Bible says the woman is the weaker vessel, and I'm going to test to see, is it going to bend, bow, or break? So women will do that subconsciously. And the fact that you know that is healthy, because when most men experience that feminine testing, they get irritated by it. And as opposed to providing some reassurance and saying, hey, this is the plan, or this is the original agreement, remember? And remind her of that. They get frustrated, they get upset, and they're just like, yo, what's going on here? What's happening here? As opposed to just regrouping her, which would be the checking, right? Like, all of these things are healthy, and the polarity of it is healthy. And it's also exercising him as well.
The best way a woman can check a man, in my personal opinion, with my life, is when they take me from the 10 to a 2 by correcting me with a proper tone and approach. Sure. So sometimes I get my vocals go up.
Talk like you in the club.
Yeah. But like, I don't notice it, because when I get passionate, I'm not necessarily yelling. It's just filled with passion. And it can be taken as yelling or, aggressive, depending on how you view it.
No, you just don't notice it, but you are yelling.
But what I'm trying to tell you is not that I'm intentionally yelling. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know when I'm yelling. When I'm yelling, it's a whole different than when I'm loud, right? So when the best way to check me, let's say if my voice is raising to an octave that is, can be confusing in terms of my delivery and my approach, and I get checked with a simple way of, hey, I don't know if you realize it, but you're yelling. And I'm like, you know what? I apologize. And that helps me regroup,
That's mature of you.
Yeah, so like that helps me regroup.
A little too mature. I can't see you saying that.
Bro, that's like, the thing is, when you double down and you try to match my energy, that's when it climbs.
Got you.
Right? So when the way I need to be checked is, I need to be checked by somebody saying, well, not really somebody, but specifically a woman, and they come off with a
feminine essence.
Yeah, and trying to tell me what's happening, because maybe I'm not seeing it. And although that is not my intentions, but she's realizing it, and she's trying to figure out if it is my intentions or not. Because if she says, hey, I don't know if you realize, but you're yelling, and I say, yeah, I realize I'm yelling, then she knows that I'm doing this intentionally. But that's how, like, majority of the relationships that I've ever been in, that's how they were constructed.
So you don't mind if a woman contends with you?
No, because I know sometimes I need to be checked with the feminine energy or a feminine approach, a calm approach, a caring, loving approach. I can't be checked with anger, or I can't be checked if you match me, because the testosterone in me is gonna raise to a level where you can't compete. Right? And that's why, for me, like, the best woman that I actually work with checks me in a certain approach with a certain tone and a certain method that automatically recalibrates me.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? It recalibrates me, because I'm not going to yell at a woman who is, or I'm not even going to yell at really anybody who is actually saying, hey, listen, this doesn't call for that, in a way or shape or form. And I'll regroup and say, you know what, my bad. But what I'm trying to say is X, Y, and Z, and that's the best way that I work. But when I get to that whole, what? And then I'm like, oh, you want to double down? Well, let me drop my sack. And then
that also depends on how a man is speaking, right? Because even if you're being passionate and you don't realize you're getting loud, what is your message? Like, what are you saying? Because I can see a woman not feeling like being in her feminine essence because she feels like she's being talked down to. Like, no matter what you're saying, no matter what you're talking about. So there are going to be females that will be like, okay, well, I'm not tolerating this. And they are going to come back at you on your octave.
Yeah, but they lose when it comes to that. That's the problem. So they lose to me. It's because I'm not going to concede. And it has nothing to do about your gender, by the way. Because if you're a man, it's going to be the same exact way. And a person like me, I'm not going to concede. So the only thing that's going to happen is I'm going to double down, and I will double down for as long as it takes until it becomes till you concede. But then at that point, it went from a conversation or a potential conversation to an argument to a battle and potentially even to a war, right?
So at no point would you just say, hey, we need a beat. I got to walk away.
No, because the thing is, yeah, of course, if I feel like there's a type of like physical, essence, then yeah, I'll walk away.
Okay, got it.
But
boundary.
yeah, because I'm not gonna go to jail over you now. That's not smart.
Right.
But when it comes down to it, the thing is for me, especially like, and I just believe like this is just how I am on the day to day. I'm a competitor, natural born competitor. I compete on podcasts. I compete on Instagram. I compete in sports. I compete in debates. I compete in arguments, right? That's just how I'm wired. So because now I realize that you have now left the space of understanding and went into a competition space, now I'm treating you as an opponent rather than my spouse. And I'm only going to argue with you if I actually care about you, which gets me more mad because I typically don't even argue with you. I just let you think whatever you think and walk away. But because I care about you, now I care the fact that whatever I'm trying to say has to be understood. And if it's me that is let's say I am the root problem by me raising my octaves, that's why I need a mature partner who won't double down on my immaturity at that moment, right? I need a mature partner who's gonna check me in a way was like, hey, listen, this is what's happening right now. I'm not sure if this is the approach that you would like, but this is what you need to realize. And that's what actually, like I said before, grounds me. Yeah, it simmers me down. It makes me apologize immediately. I'm not scared to say I'm sorry. I say I'm sorry all the time if I'm wrong. I'll apologize. Like, listen, I should have not raised my voice.
Your personality does give off the flair that you command respect. You don't demand it, but you command respect, right? You give off, the flair that you'll speak openly. You're not intimidated. Like I can grab that. I can grasp that from you. Some things that you're saying I can see would more than likely trigger you, where maybe in a perfect ideal world, you might think that if a woman said what you recommended, which is like, I don't know if you realize, but you're raising your voice or you're yelling. In a perfect world, right? You're not elevated right now. So in your mind, it can occur as the best thing. But I honestly cannot see you responding that way while you're elevated.
See, and here's how I work. I don't attack anything blindly, not even a relationship. So we kind of we mentioned this before a few weeks ago on another episode. I make it very clear what works with me and what doesn't in the beginning.
Okay.
Very beginning. So, and I let, depending on how that person is, I'm not going to say it's a 6-month window, but I allowed this person time to learn me. And I even check them when they're doing things that I said that does not work for me. Right? So different approaches of situations that you might be upset about or I might be upset about, that whole and I'm talking past the talking phase. So we've talked, we've dated, now we're in the actual relationship. That's where I set my rules, my boundaries. And this is the rules that has to be abided by. These are the approaches that I need to be a successful partner in this relationship. I know exactly what I work well with and what I don't. So now when I give you this format, I give you the blueprint to unlock whatever version of me that you would like. If you're not doing that, then it's going to obviously lead to chaos. Now, if I'm not doing that, this is the key to it because I know my flaws, right? I do respond sometimes. I do react impulsive. So that's why I would say, listen, sometimes I can be impulsive, but what I need for you to do is to basically recalibrate me when I'm in that moment. And it kind of like, okay, cool. You know what? Like I said, I apologize and we move forward. And this is not something this is not an ideology. This is real relationships that I've had. It took, I would say, when time I was 24 years old to understand what really are my triggers.
I just want to kind of just adjust a little bit because people finna eat you up. She can't recalibrate you, but she can inspire you to recalibrate yourself.
Essentially,
what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Like for her to recalibrate you is like part of what the argument is around whether or not somebody can check somebody. Because for a toxic person, being checked means that I need you to help me to be my best self because I am refusing to be my best self on my own. Like being able to use my conscious awareness to bring my levels down, or being able to say, I've had enough of this conversation. I need like 5 minutes to collect myself because I don't want to say anything that's toxic. So checking is healthy. Like majority of what you said is totally healthy, right? And I agree with that, and I recommend it. I think that you should have a partner that you can contend with, somebody that can say, hey, do you need a moment? Hey, you sound frustrated. Did I trigger you? Was something that I said triggering to you?
No, don't say that to me. Those the words won't work.
I'm just saying.
I'm like,
just generally, right?
Yeah,
like if I see somebody's popping off and I said like, whoa, did I say something? Did I step on something? Like what was said? And those things help to allow a person for the two to become one, right? Because I'm learning you, you're learning me. But checking is not the issue. The issue is the funnel that it's coming through. Either you're a toxic person or you're a healthy person. For the toxic woman, when she says that she wants a man to check her, the toxic woman is saying, I need to be riled up. I need to be allowed to be riled up. I need to be allowed to disrespect you, but I need you to check me when I'm disrespecting you because I anticipate I'm going to disrespect you. And the only way I know that you love me is because you give me that energy back. But that's toxic, right? So when a toxic woman is saying, I need you to check me, that's essentially where it's coming from. She's so dysfunctional and dysregulated that she doesn't want to be regulated because that doesn't occur to her as healthy. She wants the love bombing because she's thinking, I'm so fly. Why wouldn't a man want to love bomb me? Is that love bombing, or do you really love me, right? That's what she's looking for. But a healthy woman is saying, I'm looking for us to be in a partnership and union. And in order for that to be the case, we have the power of agreement. We have the power of unity. And the only way I'm going to know when I've stepped out of the bounds of our agreement is if you alert me. So that is what a healthy check is. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that in a relationship.
I think that she knows that she's toxic, and maybe she can't really get out of her toxic ways herself. So being in a relationship, she needs to have somebody to check her, meaning like, nah, that's not cool. You can't do that. Like, you can't talk to me this way. And she'll be like, okay.
That sounds like somebody who's trying to be reformed. Like she's in process. Maybe she wants to become healthy. Because everybody's, some people can be in transition.
Oh.
An unhealthy person, that's on the grounds of like codependency. Codependency means in order for me to be okay, I need you to be like me. I need you to do what I do. We can't have any gradient differences in our relationship, because the moment that you seem different, the moment that I can't do exactly what I want to do and you're not doing exactly what I want to do. So if I need 1,000 hugs and 999, you tell me that's enough, I'm spazzing, right? And now I need you to contend with me. I need us to go to bat. That is somebody who does not allow for individuality within the context of a relationship. That's unhealthy. That's codependency. So when an unhealthy woman is saying, I need my man to check me, is what I'm saying is that she wants him to agree to her toxic level. She has no intention of transforming. She has no intention of being better. She just wants the combativeness, because that to her means she's getting attention. That to her means that she is loved, she is cared for. That means that she can get in his head.
There's also another way of checking, right? And I think, there's another, specifically speaking, type of woman that needs checking. Okay. And that's not the type of woman, she's not, toxic or not. I'm not going to put her in any category of toxic or healthy. She's just been so strong on her own. Mm-hmm. And nowadays, I'm a man and I see a lot of men out here nowadays who are just weak ass men. And she can literally do whatever she wants to them. Mm-hmm. And she just wants a man who can actually stand his ground. Mm-hmm. She just wants a man who's unwavering. She just wants a man who can set boundaries. Even if she doesn't agree with them, she will try it out because he's unwavering of those boundaries, as long as it's not to her detriment. Right. She wants a man who's going to display strength. That's what I've always gathered from a woman who wants to be checked. Mm-hmm. Right? There are the toxic ones too, but the ones that want to be checked just wants a man who can display his strength, display the fact that he's a leader, because everybody wants to be a leader, and leadership is not just take my hand. And no, leadership, sometimes you got to push him in that direction. Mm-hmm. That's what a real leader is. Leadership sometimes is forceful. Mm-hmm. And sometimes a strong person needs to be forced, not in a, crazy way, right, but it needs to be forced onto the right path. And that's what what I gather when those women need checking. Because when she's too strong for that man and she knows that she's like, yo, I'm making a decision. It could be a business decision. It could be whatever. But she knows she's making a decision that she's unsure of. And the man, instead of saying, hey, what you should do is this, he's like, okay, cool. Let's just go with the flow.
Right.
Right. And a lot of times that woman feels like she's the man now. And when she feels like she's the man, those are the women who yearn to be checked. Because they're like, I can't wait for a man to just be a man. And no matter how strong I am, I still need this man to be able to bring me down. Whether it be, you know, in a polite way, a gentle way, or maybe a little bit more assertive way. She just wants that ability to be present or attribute to be present. But no, I'm just saying that I study women. I know women. I learn women. You have to know a thing or a person or, you know, a device so well that you can manipulate it to your benefit. The key is having regulation within yourself where you don't do it to their detriment. So, but the only way you can do that is if you actually know it. I know women. That's what I do. I love women. So I've been around women since I was like a little jit. You know what I'm saying?
So if the feminine is like, you know, the Bible says the woman is the weaker vessel. And if I know, if my subconscious awareness, I know that I'm weaker, I'm gonna want to be drawn to strength. And the only way that if I know that something can manage or handle the weight of my purpose, the weight of my future, is to shake it a little bit, right? You gotta feel me. Like if I know I'm gonna sit somewhere and I'm looking at it, and I want to know if it's sturdy. If I know I have a table, I'm gonna put something on. I'm gonna test to see, is it gonna bend, bow, or break? So women will do that subconsciously. And the fact that you know that is healthy, because when most men experience that feminine testing, they get irritated by it. And as opposed to providing some reassurance and saying, hey, this is the plan, or this is the original agreement, remember? And remind her of that. They get frustrated, they get upset, and they're just like, yo, what's going on here? What's happening here? As opposed to just regrouping her, which would be the checking, right? Like all of these things are healthy, and the polarity of it is healthy. And it's also exercising him as well. Right, because it's causing him to be present. It's causing him to be aware. It's causing him to stay on the path that they're intending to beat.
But sometimes there's not a there's a point in time where it becomes overdone, right? And sometimes like testing, I definitely agree. We all need to get tested in school. You get tested in life, right? We all need to be tested. And my thing is, when you test too much, that just shows signs of, you know, distrust. You don't trust the person that's you're, you know, allowing to lead, or you don't trust that person, you know, to teach. So what happens is it has to be done in moderation. And I personally feel like there's no moderation within anybody nowadays. But if you can test within moderation, then I think that's healthy. But when you're testing just to test consistently, because that's the only way you can gauge your situation, that's when you can unlock the frustrations of that man.
Well, that's the equivalent to me testing this table and putting something on it and then doing it over and over again. That's insane. That's not what I'm saying.
No, there's a lot of insane women out there.
There's a lot of when I see people like that, I just be like, they walk among us. That's my keyword.
They walk among us.
They walk among us.
They walkers.
Yes. They look healthy. They got good jobs. They make good money. They own some things. They got some assets. And yet something is not quite right. So they give off that, you know, they're high functioning. Right? These are the high functioning. They walk among us. Be careful, y'all. Right? All the things that occur to someone as healthy, right? You can manage your life. But when it comes to interpersonal relationships and dynamics, they can't do it. When it comes to respecting boundaries, they're not capable. They are attractive as all get out, right? Like you cannot rely on somebody's looks. You cannot rely on somebody's wealth accumulation capacity. You have to rely on the power of agreement. If you're looking for marriage specifically, the power of agreement is the key. Agreement, unity, and harmony. And of the three, what's most important is agreement. So the reason why agreement is important is because if I'm checking this table, I'm trying to see if this table is strong or not. And we're going to have an agreement on how sturdy it is, right? Like the purpose of this table is to carry something, right? To hold on to something. And I want to know how far can I go? So I'm going to put until I know, okay, this is its limit. I'm not going to go past that. So I might make some arrangements. I'm going to take some things off. Once I've established in my mind and I understand its capacity and I work within those bounds, that's the power of agreement. Now we can agree. But if I'm going to constantly test something for the sake of testing and throw heavy things on it or mismanage it, right? Now we're talking about toxicity. That's what we're observing. And the only reason why we believe, right? Most people believe there's a lot of toxic relationships. That's not necessarily true. What it is that a lot of the healthy ones are minding their business. Every plane that has a safe landing does not make the news.
Mm-hmm.
Only the planes that crash make the news. So social media is nothing but plane crashes.
It's highlighting the worst.
That they're highlighting the worst. There are a lot of people that are in healthy, beautiful, sacred, wonderful marriages where there isn't any infidelity, there isn't any drama. There's a lot of that exists. It's not gonna make the news.
Well, I also do think that the power of agreement in another, if I had to give it a synonym, if I had to give it a synonym, I would just consider that foundation, right? It's a foundation. And the problem is a lot of people, women and men, don't have foundation, didn't grow up with foundation. They don't have any structure. It could be from a one-parent household or a two-parent household. It could be from a wavering parent that was present. But that because there's no foundation there growing up, for them to respect or appreciate or even understand having a foundation set in a relationship, they won't. So they continuously test it until it crumbles, right? And sometimes some people need to lose 2, 3 great things in their life to understand what foundation is because it wasn't prevalent while they were growing up.
Can't recognize it.
Hey, I know that this is supposed to be good, but let me just add one more block to it.
Right.
And next thing you know, it's the straw that broke the camel's back. And that's the thing that I really feel like we hear a lot of these people who never had foundation or don't have foundation or didn't have structure. Not disregarding unorthodox structure, because there is structure even though it may be unorthodox, but just structure within itself. Sometimes these people don't have it. A lot of people I feel like don't have structure.
Right.
A lot of them don't have it. And because of that, what happens is they grow up as adults without structure. And when they get into relationships and people try to supply structure in these relationships, they're not receptive.
Right.
That's why I told you I have a power agreement. Look, I know the rules. My whole life was rule based, and then I always figured out how I could manipulate some things here and there to my favor,
which is healthy.
Yeah, right. But that's why even personally, I remember my first real girlfriend when I was in high school, and I was telling her this, and this.
Shout out to the first girlfriend.
Yeah, she was a great woman. She's married now, right?
Never mind. Sorry, I take that back. Apologies.
But I told her, I gave her the rule book, and she was like, I feel like I'm dating a drill sergeant because there's so many rules.
Wait, did you grow up in a military kind of background?
No, not at all. But
how did you develop that?
Well,
especially if this was your first girlfriend.
Right.
The thing is,
your first real girlfriend, you had practice girlfriends.
Jeez.
No, yeah.
Your middle school, elementary school girlfriends.
Those girlfriends don't count. The first real one, yeah. No, but the thing is, I played sports. So my mom worked 3 to 4 jobs. I played sports my whole life. Our schedule was jam-packed. You could not miss a beat because my mom had to go to this job. In between those jobs, I had to go here to here to here to here. So we've always had structure every day, Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week. Whether my sister had a sport, I had a sport, we had to go to a babysitter, a family.
Predictable.
Yeah, so everything was structured. Everything was aligned. It was chaotic. It was tough. It was whatever, but there was structure. That's the way we made it, the transition. So when I became, a teen and even an adult, I still need structure. I'll plan my week out. Literally, I'll pick out my gym outfits on Sunday, from Sunday to Saturday. Just because I was like, all right, I need to know exactly what I'm wearing because I don't want to have to think about it that time. Right? So I've always had this type of structure. And because of that, I provide it within a relationship, and I know what works well with me. I know what doesn't. So for her, it was like, yo, this is too much. And I was like, all right, well, if it's too much, then just give me the book back and go.
It's okay to give the rules, give the boundaries as you guys make your way into the relationship day by day. So you guys know what works for each other, not just you. And you guys work on that to see if you guys are compatible and see if you guys can, stay within these boundaries or, make it work, whether she agrees with the rules you give her or not. But just handing somebody like a set of rules and be like, this is what I accept, this is what I don't, that kind of might seem like too much for somebody. It might seem very
stifling. It could be stifling. I
it kind of gives like parent vibes
it is
too.
It does, but it does give parent vibes.
I was
but
a young
also,
OG. You know what I'm saying?
I also think that a lot of times when guys grow up in a sports environment, it can hurt and it can harm. It can harm in a sense that sometimes guys in a sports who grew up in a sports environment thrive off of harsh feedback. Like, it doesn't affect y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't. It's like water off of a duck's back. But then it gets modeled in an intimate relationship with a woman who may not be able to, you know what I'm saying, absorb that shock of being told what she's doing or not doing well or right, especially if it's very curt and to the point, right? Like, just a straight shoot. I'm just going to tell you what I don't like and that's it. And then she has to kind of absorb that. And we have to really ask ourselves, what am I asking for? If I want a feminine woman, then she's going to have some sensitivities, right? She's going to need some nurturing. She's going to need some softness because we have to nurture that soft part. So I think that, at a young age, there's some parts of it that's well, which is like, I know who I am. I know what I like. I know what my boundaries are. I'm going to share that with you. But I also think there's something beautiful about allowing it to kind of unfold organically, you know what I mean? And having a person understand it as the relationship progresses.